in for £1. It's not so far from Chippenham. They've been whipping 'em up for years at the Pound Art Centre, Corsham. Here's an awesome place to take yourself, your friends, your family, get sat up in the rake of the seated auditorium, heated where needs be. There's also the rehearsal room, with a wall that is so yellow and a small blue door that leads to where you'll see what's coming up, then follow on out to where a new blue sky is ready to be found. And all this for £1 Art Centre.
Hello Corsham, my name's Jonny Fluffypunk, poet, spoken word artist. I don't know how you've been spending your lockdown. Hope it's been productive. I've done this. I've built myself a shed. So I've achieved at least one thing, well, two things, because I've built a shed and I've written a poem about it. I built a shed. I've been meaning to for ages, but I never had the time, and now I don't have much, but I do have time. And so I built myself a shed. All this slowing down has brought the neighbourhood out into our gardens. We're blinking in daylight like blitzed cockneys the morning the bombs stopped dropping. The weight of clocks lifted from our shoulders. We shared the time of day, and then after a bit we started sharing surplus building materials we had kicking about, and I built a shed. The wood, I had that already. The 28 sheets of corrugated tin, they came from the recluse, living 5 doors up with his mother, in a house that smells of sad wallpaper and vim. And we handed them over the fences at the regulation social distance, with gloves and masks, and chat about the quiet of the streets now that Alan Tunnock's Land Rover's been grounded. I built myself a shed, and in so doing I did myself a succession of minor injuries. Metal cuts, splinters, and once from trying to saw while reading a Beano strip upside down to a 6-year-old. My partner, a nurse, is less sympathetic since the episode with my morning angle grinding after her night shift. I'm made to clap louder on Thursdays now. I built a shed. I built a shed because I cannot escape a pandemic virus, but with a bit of hard graft, I can escape my own family. Somewhere I can watch the rain fall, and I can look forward to a future when we can all get back to being a bit how we were in the past. It's my tin palace. And 3 doors up I hear the woman say that it looks like something out of a Caribbean shantytown. But as she's locked down with loud reggae on all day long, I'll take that as positive.
Hello, I'm socially isolating in the East Anglian countryside. So I do some poems. This is called Learning the Constellations. I'm making, look how messy my hair is. I am making some coffee. The posh Italian cafetiere pot is warming on the hob. I got the coffee for Christmas from my friend who shushes people at gigs. Shushers love good coffee. It all comes from the same part of the brain, and if I could go to New York with anyone, it would be with my friend who shushes people at gigs and gives good coffee as presents. In return, I gave them a well-reviewed novel by someone guardian-y that they will never read, but it will look good on their shelf. I'm starting to feel bad about all the things that I regret in life. How I feel weird leaving the house without my phone. That I can't look at a plug socket without thinking I should have brought my charger. That every day someone falls out of love with someone they fell in love with. It feels like a long time since I was singing along to a song I knew all the words to. Or I woke up and got out of bed and said, I know what I'm going to do today. I've started to teach myself the constellations, the Big Dipper, the teapot, the man in prison for something he didn't do. The collective unhappiness of the whole universe condensed into one sparkle. Sometimes it feels wrong that I don't know the names of the shapes of the stars, when I could borrow a book from the library or download an astrology app, and stand outside my back door and look up at the cloudless night sky and teach myself. Maybe one night out with friends I'd be able to say, that is Sagittarius. There's Orion's belt. Who wouldn't want to be the guy who knows the names of the shapes of the stars? The other night I thought, what if the stars are our ancestors looking down on us? What if every bit of yellow is someone who cared about us but can't be here with us anymore? I want to look up and say, don't worry, I have taken control of things. Everything's okay. Sometimes when you've been drinking too much coffee, been staring at the sky for too long, your brain gets carried away. But just in case you think maybe I should behave in a way that will make those stars sparkle. But when it's cloudy or the curtains are drawn, it is far too easy to pretend that those stars just don't exist.
Hello, my name's Henry Normal, and I'd like to read you a poem for the Blue Sky Festival called Homeschooling. Again, when I wake, for a moment all is well. Then I remember. I reduce ambition and expectation, find the lowest gear, draw out morning routines. My house has never been so clean. It's hard to remember what day it is. They're losing names and becoming numbers, always dressed down Friday on a month of Sundays. We exist in unfashionable slippers. We live on screens of all sizes. Stir crazy, I drink tea on draft. Wash my hands as though my life depended on it. Exercise once a day, being once a day more than I'm used to. Wrap myself against nature. Lay my clothes fallow to avoid the wash. Each week I chance a supermarket. Stand on the dotted line, over a breath away, the length of an hospital bed. Negotiate the aisles, turn my back on the space invaders. I'm resorting to DIY, sorting out corners to make my own bigger. Spraying the tops of taps, again. Keys, doorknobs, again and again. Resisting the itch on my face, hands like deadly weapons. Using elbows and feet to open and close doors, leaving packages and letters in quarantine. Experimenting with available ingredients, toasting the last of the bread, seeing how many cups I can get out of one tea bag, the least amount of toilet paper per visit. I watch the news and then try to find a little escape to improve my dreams. I'm weary of every cough or sneeze, every ache, careful not to stay up late in case it lowers resistance. I treasure, I appreciate, I empathise until it hurts. I close my eyes. Again when I wake, for a moment, all is well. Then I remember.
Man in the mirror. Man above my sink. In his Sunday best, dressed for a marathon of ink. Rewriting the story set on boxing him in. How brilliant and beautiful could he, having owned my feet for a century, be, having never left on leave from the paradox, gleamed in the silhouettes framed in the name of your Camelot. He is my closest relative in the flesh. I know him, he knows me, I know his seasonal best, his Achilles heel, and if he really will, when the pushing turns punishment, pillage the hill, arm in arm we carved karma into pebbles and skipped a quiet sermon on a river of sticks, stoking a metaphor. If I never do as a blooded being does, do I dull my diligence and dissipate love? Is it really a cut from the commonplace buzz if I became him and he came up from the mirrors in the war? Me and mirror in a war to be much more beautiful than anything before, more than anything before. I am sure of the shackles, the chain and the shame that sustains our battle. Just look at me dance by my bathroom sink, all soaked in my stare, well aware of a body that is challenger and challenge, Excalibur and stone, half mellow, half malice, half melanin and gold. Every one of us is sentient and bold. Every one of us was sent to break a mold. Every one of us is circuit breaker code, sent to corrode the notion that perfection is the goal. And I don't know if I can love without the love for who I am now. The man behind the mirror, that is spirit, is a man down. Man above the sink on his marathon of ink, needs his own voice to score this whole marathon he's in. Man in the mirror. Man above the sink. You writing the story set on boxing him in.
Hello, my name is Rosy Carrick. I'm broadcasting live, insofar as I'm alive and so are you, from my house in Brighton, and I'm going to read a poem from my book, Choky. And I did just have the page open, but I closed it. Here we are. The poem is called Slaw, and it goes like this. Look, it seems clear that nothing will come from this particular attempt, so I advise you to just stop trying, right now. Put on your shoes and take a stroll outside instead. Imagine how things could be outside. You might see a shop and decide to buy a banana or a book, a 50p bargain bin book maybe. Ragged looking, but with the kind of title you can't not go for. You Too Will Die Last Week, or Magic and How to Undrink It. If the day is sunny, and it is, the park is close. Right now, you could be in that park, biting into a soft banana and reading the opening pages of a book so like a god in its clear understanding of all your sturdiest fears that you will race back home, only to collect your dental floss and passport, and will take a train to the airport without even thinking a single thought the whole of the journey, just reading and sometimes, for a break, looking out of the window, and then you will be there. And you will book a ticket on the next available flight, all basic inoculations and visa requirements allowing. And you could even now be getting onto that plane, and as it sets off, as it tips itself backwards, and as your ears steel themselves for the popping and everything in you twists with terrific excitement for all of the streets in the world that wait to be walked through, and all of the films you'll see in tiny cinemas with strangers, and all of the alien alcohols and chocolate bars and beetles, you will remember very suddenly Wundt's law regarding excitement. You will remember that too much excitement is a wholly unpleasurable item, being attacked on the street, falling from a building in bare knees, and so on, and you will know absolutely you are headed for that. You are in that even, and that this is not a good or positive challenge. It is a terrible, and you will stand and scream and make to punch the people around you, announcing all the while the intention to kill and to cut off the hair from all unfriendly heads until the decision is made to re-land the plane, and it will be re-landed, and people will make you, with their eyes and their wringing hands, feel very guilty, and you will run. Following your police caution, the confiscation of your dental floss and threats of several fines, run to the train, from the station to the house, nakedly ball up, discover the stench of your armpits, double lock every one of the windows and doors, and jump inside of a hot and silent bath. Thank you. That's the end of my poem, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the event. Catch you later, dudes. Bye.
Hello, Pound Art. I'm going to share a new piece with you today that I've written during lockdown. I stumped my toe on my solitude today. Sometimes it serves me. Other times it gets in the way, so I consider feng shui. We don't even have a language for this emotion. What letter should it start with? Where was my tongue when the clock struck lockdown? What's the square, the bass, the foundational sound that will bring us home? What is the universal sound for loneliness? And which gland does it secrete from? A slow, condulating sound that works upwards like a lava lamp, a gravity-defying epiphanema, neon and bulbous, floating upwards, helium in echo, we no longer touch the ground. This is a sound that unearths us. I've lost my train of thought now, thinking of howling now, of Ginsberg, thinking of oceans wrong, of burning, that muted face. The sorrow. Why did I write in red today? Why did I get angry today? This word, this emotion, does it start with why? No. I don't think it does. I think it starts with you, an uneasy curling of the lips, the lower jaw hanging open like a begging bowl. I stumped my toe on my solitude today. Sometimes it serves me, other times it gets in the way, so I consider feng shui. The cure for loneliness is solitude. I've come to accept it. It happened mid-shower. Like most good epiphanies, it came with water. I am a product of two loners. I don't know any better. Irony is a classroom. Contradiction is the bedrock of Eastern philosophy. It stops us from thinking that we know it all, that we can see it all. It all makes sense to us, then immediately is utterly beyond us. I used to watch too many horrors, to the point where I haunted myself into an eternal hangover, those midnight marathons. The only antidote was to walk around my house in complete darkness. The fear that only exists when you're walking up the stairs, feeling like someone is behind you, can only be cured by walking a little bit slower than before. Counterclockwise, like an Odyssey track, 5/4 dancing out of time, in and out. I've come to know myself by being around others, knowing that I'd rather be on my own. It's a chosen path, and you'll never see it because I didn't want to share it with you. I stumped my toe on my solitude today. Sometimes it serves me, other times it gets in the way, so I consider feng shui. Thank you.
Hello, blue sky and beyond. My name's Toby Thompson, transmitting live, not live, from, I mean it's live, it feels live, from Normandy, France, my auntie's garden. That's Pumpkin, luxuriating in the sun, back there. I'm gonna say a couple of poems now. The first of them is called My Sweet Angel, and it's about a picnic. The scene is impossibly idyllic. Picasso couldn't paint it better with a brush drenched in mottled green acrylic. I tell her these visuals are astonishing, terrific, astrologically vivid. It kind of makes me want to jot a scenic lyric, entitled something stupid like Botany is Wicked. Just then a pause descends over the contents of our picnic, lasting about the length of time a frog might take to rib it. Twice, and for a breath or two, I lock myself within it, before breaking out and saying, right, okay, so can you help me please? I'm trying to rhyme opulent and mythic. And so far all I've got is Providence and Pritt Stick. She says, will you drop the sodding sonnets for a minute? Now come here and sip the tonic of my spirit. What about spiral chai chocolate flavoured mystic? I say as I lean into her collarbone and kiss it. She melts. She melts. Usually her body, well, it's not exactly stiff, it's just a bit posh, a tad British. I mean, it's in the habit of acknowledging its limits but crumbs. Now her posture is the opposite of rigid. Somehow I've gone and turned a solid into liquid. A minute later I'm wiping a fleck of slobber from her lipstick, whispering today is but a drop in our tropical Pacific. And fool that I am, silly wally billy dimwit, I take her nod to mean that she is more than moderately complicit. Or she was nibbling on my finger like it was a sausage or a twiglet. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not a connoisseur of kinship, but I'm pretty sure for her my fondness is infinite. And even though everything that followed was horrific, in that moment, I still believe she loved me from the bottom of her soul to the softness of her wingtip. My sweet angel. Just had a rice cake with some peanut butter on. I'm starting to get worried that I had bits between. Sorry, that's no way to segue between poems. Right, I'm going to do another one now on the subject of love. It's called Love, and it goes like this. I believe you can drink love straight if you got the right goblet. I believe that. I believe you can take love to work if you got the right Tupperware. And you can eat that. For lunch, as long as you keep some space in your stomach spare. I believe you can make love blush. You just need to pluck up the courage to say something heartfelt and honest. I believe we can all find the answer to what is. Love, we just need to quit asking our logics. The science is hardly as hard as for rockets. You haven't even got to go to classes at college. Merely give your soul's eyes glasses of polish and search the way that people do for car keys and wallets. I.e., start with your pockets. It won't be there, but don't despair. Remain calm as you forage. For all the truest loves love a game of hide and seek, so just take your time, the keys to play the part of the novice. Being a human being is bizarre. Be astonished. Unfasten the clasps of your lockets, by which I mean let flabbergasted air pass past the gargoyles guarding your locked lips, and if the mood moves your arms and your coccyx, well then by all means extemporary dance naked, but for a garland of olives, green garlic stuffed olives. Excuse me, I digress as usual. All I'm trying to say is that love is 1,000,000,000 times 10 times as high technical and useful as any conceivable future pairs of spooky sci-fi spectacles by Google. I believe you can dance on the surface of love's lakes until the wise owl flying by the full moon's silver lights views are bewildered by rouge, and still have dry shoes if you spill the right moves. Moreover, you can glide, similar to penguins on ice, into love's boundless ocean, never to re-emerge. Love's a real cheap date. There's rarely a debit to reimburse. You can pay the price of love's devotion and never need a purse. On another footnote, affection hath an eloquence that never needed words. As much as I would like to think the Book of Love novella would have said its piece in verse, I know the lyrics it delivers are more like those whispered by the larynx of the leopard when it serenely purrs, more like the mesmeric rustling of the leaves the gentlest breeze disturbs. I believe that love can find a field of molehills where once lay a mountain range of obstacles demanding to be stressfully traversed. I believe love will free you from the flesh and bone confines of yourself, like melodies escaping from the slender beaks of birds. Forgive me, I'm waffling. Long story shortened, from the length of the tongue of a young giraffe to the length of a thumb that's been cut in half, I believe love is a back rub in a bubble bath. Not wanting to beat around the shrubbery green and lush, I mean to put it in the shells of a couple of pecan nuts. Ever since I learnt love from the mother whose teat I sucked, I've believed being human's a wonderful piece of luck. I believe peace is truth, and love is the key to stuff. Thus, I believe in nothing but peace and love. Bye, blue sky and beyond. Enjoy the rest of your spoken word. Say bye, pumpkin. Pumps! She's always ignoring me.